Hey, what's up guys? Mike Matthews, physical therapist here with the PT411. Thanks so much for joining me. If you already haven't done so, make sure you follow, like, subscribe, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram so you can be notified when I come out with new videos. We've been talking about the neck lately. We've been talking about how to mobilize the neck first. We talked about how to stretch out some common muscles around the neck. Then we started talking about strengthening. Strengthening is so important around that neck. As we work on mobilizing it, we want to keep it nice and stable. As we regain mobility in that neck, we need to make sure we have good control, good strength and stability through that regained mobility. And there's a lot of really cool research and studies that suggest having a nice strong neck really decreases the risk of concussion and whiplash type injuries after high impact injuries like with sports or even automobile accidents. We already did one video on strengthening, a good starting off point to start working on the most common issues, the most common deficits with strength in the neck. So if you haven't seen that video, you need to head on over to YouTube right now, look for the playlist on the neck, find that video, watch that before you watch this one, because this one's more of a progression off of that video. So let's just jump right into it. The first thing you're gonna need is just a wall and a ball that has some give to it. So we're gonna get this ball up here against the wall, and we're gonna place our head up against this wall in various positions. And the big thing here is foot placement. That is gonna be key on how much resistance we have against these muscles. The closer up I am against the wall here as we work into it, the easier it's gonna be. The further away I step my feet, the more of an angle we're gonna be at towards the wall, and the more resistance there's gonna be here. So it might take a little bit finding that sweet spot where it's a challenge for you, but you can still complete these exercises. So let's start off with our first one here. We can get our forehead up against that ball. We might have to adjust the height of the ball on the wall as well, depending on where our feet are. So I start off pretty far away, so the ball starts off a little bit lower for me. So we're going to start off here just placing all of our body weight up against it. You can't see from the camera angle here, but my body is completely straight line, going all the way down to those feet. And I'm just going to hold this here. I can already feel my muscles in the front of my neck working. Get a good feel for this here. If this is pretty easy for us and we're walking our feet pretty low, then we can go ahead and progress this here. Start off with your feet a little bit closer as you start this next one. And as you get comfortable with it, walk those feet away again. But from here, we're gonna do a few different movements. We're gonna start off with extending that neck and then flexing it. Again, just walk away from the wall if it's a little too easy for you. Extend and flex, maintaining that pressure there and keeping that body in a nice straight line. We have moving up and down into flexion extension. We have working from retraction into protrusion there. We can even work rotation in this position here. Make sure your shoulders are nice and in line with your body, especially when we're doing the rotations, as we're working the flexion and extension or retraction and protrusion there. Our shoulders will move a little bit with our body, but as we rotate, keep those shoulders pulled back. Everything else in a nice neutral spot there. So you want to work on this for about a minute each set. The next exercise we're going to do on both sides. We're going to have the ball placed on the side of our head here. Find a good sweet spot here, which might be a little bit different here. Same thing, we're starting off just holding it there. So get used to that one. We're gonna work on our side bending here. Adjust that ball as needed. Come into it, side bend to one side, pressing and side bending the other way here. We're gonna work that one on both sides. We can work a little rotation here as well. Just make sure you keep your head nice and square, that neck nice and neutral as we're doing our rotations. So we're gonna work on those on both sides as well. Last one here, we're gonna work it from the back. Find that nice sweet spot between your feet and the height on the wall again. We're gonna start off with flexing and going into extension there. So flex, work into extension. We have our protruding, working into retracting, and then working on those rotations here as well. And working about a minute for each set. The next exercises, we're gonna need some weight. We can use a weighted plate or an ankle weight. And with these exercises, you don't need a lot of weight. It doesn't take much to strengthen that neck and get a really good challenge with these. Again, it might be a little more uncomfortable with these. If you have some ankle weights lying around, it might be more comfortable. If you are using something harder like a weighted plate, you might want to use a towel, make it a little bit more comfortable on yourself. So we're going to lay on the edge of a flat, firm surface. And I'm off the edge of the surface enough that it's around my mid-scapula, my mid-shoulder blade region. So I'm getting part of my thoracic spine into this strengthening as well. So we do this so we can use these muscles, we can strengthen in every single degree of motion that we have within that neck. So we're going to take whatever weight we decided to use here. We're going to start off laying on our back. We're going to place that weight here on our forehead. We're going to hold on to it with our hands to steady it. We're going to start off doing our extensions, going into flexion here. Now it's only going to take about 10 repetitions if we have a good weight here. After we work, go from extending into flexing, we're going to start off retracting into protruding here. Same thing, just doing a set of 10 at a time. After we work on those, we're going to get onto our side and we're going to work each side here. Holding that weight, steadying it on our side, and start off side bent to one direction. We're going to move it to that opposite direction there. Down and up. After we work both directions there, again, just starting off at 10 repetitions, we're going to get you laying here on your stomach. This time you've probably guessed it. We're getting this on the back of your head. We're going to start off flexing, working into extension, and then the next set is starting in protrusion, working into that retraction there. Now to progress this one right here, or these two, you can hold on to the weight with both hands, and as you extend up, you're drawing your elbows back here. Whether we're going from flexion into that extension or protruding into retraction, it's definitely going to engage quite a few more muscles in there, and it's going to really challenge them quite a bit more too. So after that, we're just going to work on one more set of muscles, our traps, the muscles between our shoulder blades up here. As we're focusing on strength with the neck, we need to make sure the muscles that control our shoulder blades and keep our entire shoulder complex pulled back is nice and strong as well. Those shoulders are always forward flexed. Our neck and our thoracic spine is going to follow, so we got to make sure that we're pulling all of that back. So this next exercise, we're actually going to work with our neck and head supported on our surface. So I'm going to move this up a little bit here. We're going to place our forehead here so my face is nice and protected, not squishing up against our surface. We're going to bring both of our arms here out to the side, straight out to the side with our thumbs pointed up. If this is very difficult starting off with our thumbs up, we can have our palms down to where our hands are more parallel with the ground here. So both arms out to our side. Start off with our arms kind of low. We're going to raise them up as high as we can. As we raise those up here, we're going to squeeze our shoulder blades together. 5 to 10 second holds depending on our ability here. And we're going to work on this for 10 to 20 repetitions at a time. So come up, squeeze those shoulder blades together and hold, and then take it back down. Now we can also do this laying flat on the ground. We don't necessarily need a weight bench or something where our arms are starting a little bit lower. We can start off with those hands just resting on the ground or some sort of other firmer surface. To progress this exercise, we're going to get rid of the towel here. And starting off with our head a little bit lower, starting position again in the same spot. And this time, as we raise up here, we're going to raise our head into that retracted position. We're not going to tilt to extend the neck here. We're just going to retract back this way to get all those other muscles involved that are important for that posture. And as you do this one, you're going to get a little bit more extension and that upper back. You're gonna start to clear those shoulders and that chest off of here. So retract that neck back as you raise up. Hold that there for 5 to 10 seconds again. 10 to 20 reps depending on our ability there. So that's it for this week's video. We talked again about why it's so important to strengthen the neck as we're stretching and mobilizing it, and we progressed things along from the last neck strengthening video. When dealing with the body, whether we're recovering from an injury or just working prevention measures, we always have to make sure we're finding that nice sweet spot, that nice challenge where it's not too difficult that we can do the exercises, but definitely difficult enough that we feel like we're getting some work into it and we're getting a little fatigue on those last couple of repetitions. We're going to keep talking about the neck over the next several videos, so make sure you follow, like, subscribe, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. If you want to know when these videos are coming out, right when they're coming out, the best place to go is over to YouTube and subscribing there. Again, I'm Mike Matthews with the PT411. Thanks for joining me.